Sex with my boss? I slept with my manager, and a week later, I found out why he did it. I'm writing this from an anonymous account because I still don't know who might end up reading it. If you've ever thought that an office romance is, at worst, just awkward, then my story might make you rethink that. I'm 32. I live in the US, in a suburb of a large city. I work at a mid-sized company, not a startup, but not a giant corporation either. Marketing, reports, presentations, deadlines, a normal life, or at least what I thought was normal. My boss's name is Mark. He's 41. Divorced, one child from his first marriage. Charismatic, calm, always professional. Not the kind of boss who flirts with employees. Quite the opposite. He kept his distance. That's exactly why everything that happened next completely threw me off balance. How it all started, we had worked together for almost a year. I joined the department after a painful breakup and threw myself entirely into work. Mark was the kind of manager people dream of. Clear tasks, realistic deadlines, and he always defended the team in front of upper management. He often praised my results, but without excessive emotion. Sometimes we stayed late. Sometimes we traveled together for business. Sometimes we talked about things other than work, TV shows, books, life after 40, life after 30. But nothing more, no hints, no touching. I felt a sense of attraction, but nothing beyond that. He was my boss. Period. Everything changed on one Friday. That Friday, a major project fell apart. Not because of us, but we were the ones who had to deal with the fallout. By around 9 in the evening, only Mark and I were left in the office. We sat silently in the conference room, sorting through emails and spreadsheets. "Want to grab a coffee?" he suddenly asked. "Or something stronger? It's my fault you stayed so late." I was surprised, but I agreed. We went to a bar across the street from the office, a typical place where half the patrons are exhausted office workers just like us. The conversation became more personal. He talked about his divorce, about how hard it was to see his child only on a schedule. I talked about my past relationship and my fear of trusting someone again. At some point, a silence settled between us. Not awkward, charged. He didn't make any sudden moves. He just looked at me differently. Not like a boss, like a man. I should have stopped it, stood up, said no, but I didn't. A night I thought was just a weakness. I won't go into details. I'll say only this. It wasn't rough, rushed, or something that felt like a drunken mistake. It was too deliberate, too calculated. In the morning, he was just as calm and attentive. He made coffee, asked how I was feeling, said he didn't want things to be awkward at work, and that if I preferred, we could pretend nothing had happened. That's what reassured me at the time. A strange week, but at work, everything changed. He became distant. Not cold, distant. He stopped inviting me to meetings I used to attend, gave my tasks to others. When I asked questions, he answered briefly and formally. I told myself he was just trying to maintain professional boundaries. I even convinced myself that this was how it should be. Then Sarah from HR messaged me. "Can we talk? Confidentially." The conversation that turned everything upside down. Sarah closed her office door and looked at me with too much sympathy. "There's a team lead position opening up," she said. "We're considering several candidates. You're one of them." I was surprised. It was unexpected and flattering. "But," she continued, "there's one issue. A complaint has been filed against Mark." I felt my hands go cold. "A complaint?" I asked. "For a violation of professional ethics, a personal relationship with a subordinate. An investigation has already begun. We need to understand whether you were involved." I stayed silent. And then Sarah said the sentence that made everything inside me collapse. "Mark claims that the initiative came entirely from you. Why he did it." A week later, I found out everything. Mark knew the audit was coming. He knew his position was at risk because of previous complaints from other employees, not sexual, about his management style. He needed a card to play. A relationship with a subordinate, if framed correctly, could work in his favor. portraying him as someone who lost objectivity under pressure rather than someone who was professionally incompetent. And more importantly, it shifted the focus onto me. He didn't choose me by accident. Single, ambitious, no political weight inside the company. I wasn't a romance, I was a strategy. The aftermath. The investigation lasted almost 2 months. I gave statements, lost sleep, doubted myself, my memory, my right to be angry. In the end, Mark was fired. But I didn't come out a winner. I didn't get the promotion, officially, due to a conflict of interest. Unofficially, because in stories like this, there's rarely a completely clean side. 3 months later, I quit. What remains, sometimes I think, what if I had left the bar that night? What if I had said no? Would my career be different? And then I realize, the question isn't what I did. It's why he did it. And if you're reading this thinking it could never happen to you, I thought that too. Take care of yourself. And never underestimate people who are very good at seeming proper.